Before we get into it, this will be part 1 of 2. In this part 1, we'll be covering what a collective year 9 means. Then, in part 2, we'll get into personal year numbers. 2025 is a collective year 9. This is the completion of collective cycles that started in 2017, a year 1 in the 1 through 9 year cycle. To calculate a collective year number, add the individual numbers of the year until you reach a single digit. For example, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9. Year 1s are all about new beginnings in planting metaphorical seeds. With 2025 being a year 9, this means that the metaphorical, quote, seeds that were, quote, planted in 2017 have gone through their full cycle and are now at the wrapping up stage that is a year 9. Year 9s are all about completion, wrapping things up, forgiveness, letting go of what no longer serves you, transitions, and transformations. This stage in the cycle makes fertile soil for the next 9-year cycle. Because our current cycle began in 2017, so that would be 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 7 equals 10, add those together, 1 plus 0 equals 1. I wanted to look back on where we started. In an overview of 2017, we see just how balls out cray-cray it was in the seeds that were planted. Donald Trump was inaugurated as the 45th President of the United States on January 20th. On January 21st, the day after Trump's inauguration, Women's March held demonstrations throughout the United States and numerous other countries to support gender equality, civil rights, and other issues. It's estimated that 4 to 5 million people may have attended 653 marches in U.S. cities, making it one of the largest single-day demonstrations in U.S. history. President Trump imposed a series of contentious travel bans on citizens from several Muslim-majority nations and continued to promote his idea of a border wall with Mexico. The ODNI reported in January that the Russian government had ordered an influence campaign aimed at the 2016 U.S. presidential election. In March, FBI Director James Comey announced that the FBI was investigating election hacks and links between the Trump campaign and Russia. In May, President Trump fired Comey, making his the second FBI director ever to be dismissed by the president. Republicans and Democrats in the House of Representatives and Senate sparred over whether to repeal ACA, also known as Obamacare. At the end of March, Britain invoked Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty. In June, the city of Mosul, Iraq, was liberated from ISIS occupation. However, the city was devastated, and as many as 40,000 civilians died in the fighting, and another million displaced. In September, Iraqi Kurds voted for independence, which triggered clashes between the Iraqi army and Iraqi Kurds. The Iraqi government, with the help of Iran, seized control of Kirkuk province from the Kurds. August 11th through the 12th, hundreds of white supremacists marched in Charlottesville, Virginia, to protest the city's plan to remove a statue of Confederate Army Commander Robert E. Lee. What organizers called Unite the Right rally turned violent and even deadly when clashes broke out between the white nationalists and counter-protesters, resulting in dozens injured and one dead. Heather Heyer was killed by James Alex Fields Jr. when he deliberately rammed his car into a crowd of people peacefully protesting the Unite the Right rally. In late August, in what a United Nations commissioner called a, quote, textbook example of ethnic cleansing, Myanmar stepped up attacks against the Rohingya with alleged mass killings, systemic rape, and torture. As a result, more than 600,000 Rohingya refugees fled across the border into neighboring Bangladesh, leading to a humanitarian crisis in the country. North Korea launched a ballistics missile over Japan in August, stepping up tensions between Pyongyang and Washington. On August 21st, a total solar eclipse crossed the United States from coast to coast, the first total solar eclipse to do so since 1918. The 2017 Atlantic hurricane season saw a total of 10 hurricanes sweep the region. 6 were major storms of Category 3 or higher, and 3 of those were Category 4 or higher when they made landfall, spreading havoc from the Caribbean to Texas. Hurricane Harvey made landfall on Texas and Louisiana in August, causing catastrophic flooding and more than 100 deaths, inflicting $125 billion in damage. At the end of August and throughout the first half of September, Hurricane Irma was the first Category 5 hurricane of the season. Irma was the second most intense tropical cyclone worldwide in 2017 in terms of barometric pressure and the strongest worldwide in 2017 in terms of wind speed. Irma caused widespread and catastrophic damage, particularly in the northeastern Caribbean and the Florida Keys, causing at least 135 deaths and $77.2 billion in damage. Almost immediately after Irma dissipated, Hurricane Maria developed from a tropical wave into a Category 5 hurricane that affected the northeastern Caribbean, particularly in the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico. Maria is the deadliest and costliest hurricane to strike the island of Puerto Rico, and is the deadliest hurricane to strike the country of Dominica and the territory of the U.S. Virgin Islands, with fatalities totaling 3,059, 2,975 of which were Puerto Rican, and $91.6 billion in damage. Although beginning in August of 2016, on September 24, 2017, the NFL protests, wherein protesters sat or knelt during the national anthem in silent protest of racial bias, violence, and profiling by police forces around the country, became more widespread when over 200 players sat or knelt in reaction to Trump's call for owners to fire the protesting players. In September, US NOAA announced that 2017 was shaping up as the second warmest year on record. Also in September, Facebook announced that they had shut down nearly 500 fake, quote, troll accounts and pages created by Russian company Internet Research Agency. The IRA had purchased more than 3,000 divisive ads on hot-button social issues during and after the 2016 US presidential campaign. On October 1st, gunman Stephen Paddock opened fire on a crowd of concert-goers in Las Vegas from the 32nd floor of the nearby Mandalay Bay Hotel, injuring more than 500 people and killing 58, making it the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. The 2017 wildfire season involved wildfires on multiple continents, including Western United States, Alaska, Canada, Chile, South Africa, Portugal, Australia, New Zealand, and Greenland, that scorched millions of acres. At the end of October, Q Clearance Patriot, or simply Q, posted for the first time on 4chan in a thread titled, quote, "Calm Before the Storm," where they claim that Hillary Clinton was about to be arrested, which would cause massive unrest and be followed by numerous other arrests. Q wrote several more posts bringing together a community of conspiracy theorists known as QAnon. Although the Me Too movement was founded in 2006 by survivor and activist Tarana Burke, it's in mid-October 2017 that #MeToo went viral worldwide following widespread exposure of accusations of predatory behavior by Harvey Weinstein. In November, President of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, resigned as president after losing the support of his party. The Zimbabwe African National Union Patriot Front, or ZANU-PF, and following a military takeover and mass demonstrations. Emerson Mnangagwa, nicknamed, quote, "the Crocodile," known for his ruthlessness, pragmatism, and political cunning and shrewdness, succeeded Mugabe as president. 10 years after the Great Recession started, global economic growth was accelerated, and stock markets around the world hit record highs. And this was just 2017. Since then, there was a global pandemic that shut down the world, killed millions, and triggered a global recession. A US president, Trump, was both impeached and acquitted. More protester demonstrations. More catastrophic wildfires, bigger and more frequent storms and hurricanes, record heat waves, intense droughts, floods, and devastating earthquakes. There have been a number of important transfers of power around the globe. There was a riot/insurrection in the US. Kamala Harris became the first female vice president in US history, and the second woman nominated for president by a major political party. The first was Hillary Clinton. There have been invasions and wars. The UK withdrew from the EU. The AUKUS deal debuted. There has been a continuing migration crisis. There has been a continuing humanitarian and refugee crises, specifically in countries such as Ukraine, Syria, Afghanistan, South Sudan, and Yemen. US troops and NATO withdrew from Afghanistan, and the Taliban returned to power. There have been drone attacks. There have been assassinations and attempted assassinations. In 2018, an investigative reporter at the Miami Herald identified some 80 survivors of sexual abuse by Jeffrey Epstein and his associates. In 2019, a criminal case was brought against him. He was arrested in July on charges of sex trafficking and was held without bail. Epstein arrived at the Metropolitan Correctional Center on July 6, 2019. On August 10th, he was found dead from apparent suicide. In the aftermath of his death, his long-term partner, Ghislaine Maxwell, was convicted in 2021 of aiding Epstein in his procurement and sexual abuse of young girls. There have been similar arrests to Epstein's in regards to sexual abuse and trafficking, as well as physical and mental abuse such as R. Kelly and Sean Diddy Combs. There have been more mass shootings. The U.S. Supreme Court overturned abortion rights. A rise in inflation around the world. Significant advances in AI. 2 U.S. government hearings on UAPs and UFOs, and non-human remains allegedly recovered from crash sites. And QAnon grew from a small community on 4chan to a full-fledged cult of millions that's had a significant influence on politics. And that's not even everything. If you're frazzled and tired, you're not alone. With 2025 being a year 9, that doesn't mean all of these things will come to an end forever. It just means impactful change is on the horizon. For example, the Russian-Ukrainian war may come to an end, but that doesn't mean it'll never happen again, or that all war everywhere will come to an end forever. Although, wouldn't that be nice? Continuing with this example, what a year 9 means in regards to this war is that it may not end this year, but there will likely be significant change that affects it dramatically. Another example just dropped as I'm writing this, with the resignation of Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Trudeau became the leader of the Liberal Party in 2013 and has been Canada's PM since 2015. So this is a significant, impactful change that comes along with this ending. Although I personally didn't see this coming, I'm not surprised it happened not only in a year 9, but also at the very beginning of it. To quote Trudeau in his resignation announcement, "I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader." Notice he isn't resigning full stop as of this very moment, or that this means he'll be Canada's last PM ever, or that the Liberal Party itself is coming to an end. It means that there will be a time of transition before a new beginning, wherein the Liberal Party will have a new leader and Canada will have a new PM. This entire process will take several months to complete. During this transitional period, Trudeau will still be PM though. This is exactly what year 9s are all about. Transition, transformation, and conclusions. Also note that this change doesn't just affect Canadians. It's the PM, along with their foreign minister, who negotiates Canada's relationship with other countries. So, as we move through 2025, expect more of the same in the sense of there being more conclusions, transitions, transformations, and significant dramatic changes within the collective experience. With that said, we've reached the end of Part 1. Part 2 will be coming soon, where we'll be covering personal year numbers, not to be confused with your life path number, but we'll get into that.